All right, good morning, traders. Today is it's March 13th, Friday the 13th, 2026. My name, Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That's the day trading division for the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody. Podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following, liking, leaving kind comments, and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that, and I love that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast. Thank you, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Rick, Ed, everybody that shares the content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web, and making that accessible for everybody out there on social media. Appreciate that. Love that. That does not go unappreciated. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's take a look at what happened yesterday. We'll start off with our summary. My SPY pivot today, 671.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five except for FNGU made lower lows, lower highs, closing under bearish traps under their 17 EMAs. Stinker made a lower high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap under the rising 17 EMA. SPY closed 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute downtrend. Gold made a lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish cross under the 17. Silver made an outside day, higher high, lower low, closing under a bearish cross under the 17. USO, higher high, higher low, closed over a bullish trap over the rising 17. UNG made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17. US dollar index still in a daily uptrend, closed near the 99.81 area. SPY max pain for today, 674, with a put to call ratio of about 1.4 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Main event this week, we had CPI on Wednesday. Today we're going to have GDP coming out in about 9 minutes here. If this is your first time seeing this, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17. They got a little star. They're putting in a bull flag or a launch pad to launch higher. If they have a little star, they're putting in a platform or a bear flag from which to dive lower. Let's take a look at the markets. Start off with 10-minute. 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Yesterday we traded a continuation of a downtrend that was occurring in the pre-market, and we traded a continuation of it for price to roll down here on SPY. 10-minute downtrend. You get the sticks and the 3 riding or plotting underneath the falling 8 EMA, falling 17 EMA. So we got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close yesterday. 2-hour chart. You can see the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the falling 8. This is a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close yesterday. Daily candle, like I said, all of them except for Stinker made a lower high and a lower low. Even Stinker made a lower high and a lower low. We closed underneath bearish traps, except for Stinker, and then closed underneath falling, rolling over 17 EMA, closed underneath all-time high anchored VWAP. If we look at SPY, we're still in quadrant 4, that's bullish, all right, but we're still in a downtrend. We've got a lower high here, and we made a lower low, so we're still in a downtrend on SPY, the daily. Weekly candle, still bullish and in an uptrend up here. Monthly, still bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at QQQ. Start off on the 10-minute chart. You can see the sticks in the 3. 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Same thing on QQQ yesterday. In the pre-market, we had a 10-minute downtrend occurring, and we traded a continuation of that 10-minute downtrend occurring in the pre-market. If we look at the 2-hour chart, coming into the close, you got the sticks and the 3, which is this thin yellow line, plotting underneath the falling 8. So we have a 2-hour downtrend. coming in the close on QQQ. Daily candle, just like SPY, lower high, lower low, closing under bearish trap under the 17 EMA and underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Let's put the quad lines on there. Okay, you can see right here underneath the all-time high. We're in an uptrend on QQQ. We still haven't made a lower low. All right, and we made this higher high right here, just inked out a very weak higher high. Not very many candles on either side of the valley or the peaks here. So very weak uptrend in that. Price action, you can see right here, lower high, lower low. Still in quadrant 4, that's bullish, but currently in a dysfunctional uptrend in that price action is not moving up, it's moving to the right or melting lower. Okay, so that's QQQ with the dysfunctional uptrend. Again, bullish because we're still up in quadrant 4. Okay, on the weekly chart, you can still see we're green dots here. We're still bullish and in an uptrend. If we take out this low right here, okay, that pokes below the 17, they will convert the uptrend into a downtrend on QQQ. Monthly chart, still bullish and in an uptrend. You can see all of the green dots. You can see the 3 and the sticks are plotting up over the rising 8. So you got the mouth is open here between the 3 and the 8. So still a monthly uptrend on QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM. On the daily chart, we've got lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. See the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the 8. Okay, so underneath the bearish trap and underneath the falling 17, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still up here, and here's the origin of our move, April. Okay, still up here in quadrant 4, so it's above the crosshairs. It's the upper third. So it's still bullish up there. But we're in a downtrend currently because we made a lower high right here. So you got a lower high and you got a lower low. We have not made any higher highs yet. So IWM still in a downtrend, all right, but bullish being in the upper third up there. So there's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, same thing. Lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap, underneath a falling 17, underneath an all-time high anchored VWAP, still in the upper third, so it's still bullish till they take out this low down here on the daily candle. All right, so still bullish because they're in the upper third, all right, but currently in a downtrend that is moving down, just like IWM. Excuse me, in a downtrend that is moving down. Let's take a look at FNGU. So here's a stinker on the daily candle, and we'll look at that lower high, lower low, just like the rest of them, closing under a bullish trap, but over rising 17 EMA there. Okay, so you can see on stinker, this is the all-time low. This is the all-time high. We are underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're underneath the all-time low anchored VWAP. We're underneath the midpoint, which is this dash line running through here. Okay, so we're not in the lower third. We're not in the upper third. So we're neutral and currently still in a downtrend, a dysfunctional downtrend in that ever since making the lower lows, they have only been moving over to the right or melting to the upside. So neutral, dysfunctional downtrend on FNGU, aka stinker. All right, let's take a look at it. Silver. Silver, still neutral, all right, not in the upper third. Yesterday's candle looks like an outside day. It's a higher high and a lower low, closing underneath bearish cross or underneath a bullish trap. Still underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's this pink line right here, or that purple line. So we're not in the upper third, so we're neutral, all right? But currently we are in a downtrend, dysfunctional downtrend, in that since this was the low, we made a lower low. In that ever since making the lower low, we have done nothing but move to the right or melt up. So there's silver, neutral, dysfunctional downtrend. Let's take a look at gold. Gold, lower high, lower low, closing underneath bearish cross, underneath the 17, but above the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. We're in the middle of quadrant 4, so we're still bullish here. and we're still in an uptrend. Again, dysfunctional uptrend in that there's a high, there's a low. We made a higher high right here. Since making that higher high, we have done nothing but melt down or over to the right. Okay, we have not had any progress since making the uptrend. All right, so there's gold on the daily candles. Take a look at USO. USO higher low, higher high, closing over bullish trap over the rising 17, over the 4-year high anchored VWAP. That's that pink line right there. We should probably put the quad lines on here, and they should go back to 2022. Actually, right there. Okay, so yep, 2022. All right. So you can see we are now at 8-year highs right now. Currently, we get up a little further. I think we make a 10-year high. All right. So currently bullish up here in quadrant 4. So currently bullish and in an uptrend on USO. Let's take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG is, they got a high here. They got a low. They made a higher high in an uptrend. Yesterday's candle got the upside down sword, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the 17 EMA. Price action looking good. Underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP, that's a pink line. Still in quadrant 1, so that's bearish. All right. And in an uptrend currently. Bearish, but in an uptrend on UNG. Let's take a look at the US dollar index. You can see we'll back out here. It's 2025 high. Come into a daily downtrend, which then produces a bear flag. Since making the bear flag, they've just done nothing but move over to the right. They've tested the highs of this bear flag 3 times to try to break out. They've failed. Recently, we are now in a uptrend within the bear flag on the daily candle. We've got a high, we've got a low, we've got a lower high, we've got a higher low, and then we turn around after making the high and made a higher high up here. So currently we're in a daily uptrend within the big bear flag right here. Okay, you can see price action broke all of the major support right here. So this is providing minor resistance up above. So there's the US dollar index. Take a look at the technicals. T2101. Yesterday we melted down some more, and in participation and market breadth increased. That is a bearish sign right there. Let's take a look at T2122. We camped out all day inside the sell zone, only to end the day peeking our head inside the oversold zone. Right in there, T2122. More bearish news right there. Okay, let's take a look at T2123. 15-minute chart, got a bearish gap down, not filled by the bulls. Another bearish gap down, not filled by the bulls. Yesterday's price action, bearish gap down, not filled by the bulls, just complete melting all day long. You can see we've got a low here. Well, we made a lower low, so we're in a 15-minute downtrend. All right, we are plotting underneath a flat or falling 200 SMA. All right, not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear. I'm going to tell you, I've turned bearish. All right, so there's T2123, and we are in a downtrend, but we are still bullish up here in quadrant 4. If I put the quad lines on there. Let me see if I can get those on here. Here's the 3-bar chart. There they are. Okay, you can see we're still up here in quadrant 4. All right, here's the origin of our rally back here in April. All right, this was the all-time high. When we started our origin, we made a new all-time high. All right, pulled back to the midpoint back here. Well, this wasn't the midpoint at the time. Pulled back to a head and shoulders pattern right here, prior head and shoulders right there. And we pulled back right there, made a higher low, then turned around, ripped over the 200 SMA, consolidated over the 200 SMA, ripped up and ripped for a new all-time high up there. Since making that new all-time high, we've run into some Fibonacci retracement lines. and I'll crank them up so you can see them. All right, so you can see the 1272 is up here, and then I will move the line over and up to here, and you can see we got the 1618 right up here where we are reversing off of. So I'll take this and put this back down here, and I will turn it off for right now so I can talk about the quad lines. All right, so let's take that, move that all the way over there for the time being. All right, so 3-bar chart. All right, you noticed on the 15 we're currently in a downtrend, but still up here. Quadrant 4, we're still bullish up there. On T21, 23, 3-bar chart. All right, we have a low right here. We made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend on the 3-bar chart. We are still bullish. We're up over the rising 200 SMA. We're still in the upper third up here, so bullish, but in a downtrend now on the 3-bar chart for T21, 23. Look at Stinker on the 15. Yesterday's price action. Here's the 12th right here. So it looks like a little gap. Yeah, a little gap down. All right. From there, we made, we got a low. We got a high. We made a lower low. We made a lower high. And from that lower high, we just close out the day in a downtrend. Again, under the 200 SMA, that would be where I want to be if I'm a bear. And currently, I am a little bit bearish. All right. Okay, so there's FNGU. Price action you can see is under the rising 200 SMA and under the all-time high anchored VWAP. So there's Stinker on the 15. Let's take a look at the US dollar index. I'll just review it. Okay, 2025 high, down, bear flag currently. Daily uptrend, got a higher, got a lower high, a higher low, and then a higher high produces a daily uptrend right there. Okay, let's take a look at economic numbers. We should be getting GDP pretty soon if it's not already out. Okay, we got max pain right here, 674. Let me refresh that, see if they're going to change it on me. Still 674, and we got to put the call ratio. Oh, it's 1.4 puts for each call today. Now I'm going to blow this up just a little bit, and I'm going to slide it over. Okay, so you can see we've got a big node here of put volume, all right, right here on the 675 number. All right, I have a feeling that they may go after that put volume, all right, along with the max pain. So that looks like a target somewhere around 674, 675. If we get there early, I think we roll over and come back down. All right, in order to cause the max pain for these calls. All right, they don't want to give them any reason for them to justify buying all of these calls. So I'm looking at price action at least rising up to, well, we're over 660, coming up to this big node of put volume right there at 675. Okay, so that would be probably my interest for today. Take a look at GEX. See what we got here on GEX from the 13th. And they don't have any of the option inventory out there yet. When I looked at it yesterday, there was signs of price probably coming up to that 675 area as well on the GEX. So we'll see what happens when they open up this morning. All right, so there's that. All right, back up there to the economic package. My bad. Okay, economic calendar today. GDP comes out 8:30, so that was coming out. That came out about 8 minutes ago. Durable good orders, delayed report, 8:30 as well. Personal income and outlays, 8:30 this morning. Consumer sentiment at 10, jolts at 10, and a rig count at 1 o'clock. Okay, let's take a look at, we did max pain, we did economic calendar. Now we're going to do earnings. Nothing exciting going on the earnings front. All familiar names, but nothing here that's going to move the markets. We trade the indices, so nothing here that's going to move the indices. Now, these will definitely help out in their appropriate sectors, but right now, nothing here that's going to be market moving as far as the indexes right now. All right, so that's it for me this morning. Unless you guys got some questions, I will answer questions. Let's see what GDP is. Alan shared it. Thank you so much, Alan. So GDP is pitiful. Really, really pitiful. Quarter over quarter, prior was 1.4, consensus 1.3 to 1.5. Not a very high bar set there. You're looking for 2.5, 3. You really want 3.0 or better. Okay, then you're really making headway. All right, quarter over quarter, actual was 0.7%. Personal consumption and expenditures, prior was 2.4. Again, lower on the personal consumption and expenditures, so people are not spending as much money. Both bad news for the markets, in my opinion. All right, in my opinion. And durable good orders, new orders, no change. Ex-transportation, I don't know if we rise or if that is a good number or not, because prior was 0.09. Doesn't say what we were expected, but 0.04. So if that was an increase, that's good. If it was the number, that's not good. All right, so that's how I view it. All right, traders, I'll be back in about 30 minutes and we'll open up the markets. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning. See you guys in 30 minutes. Thank you.